Welcome to Kode Pakistan. It's the podcast where we explore how technology is redefining the industries that we work and also the way we do our work, create our softwares, our applications differently. Today, my guest, Mr. Faiq, has joined me and he is currently AI lead in Code Labs. Code.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure here today.
Likewise, Faiq. So, our topic today is, which we are going to discuss, is the autocomplete and the supervised agents. So, Faiq, how do you see the shift from the autocomplete to the supervised agents? When I was doing research on this topic, so I find out that more than 80% of the developers use AI to create code, helping in the code, and around half of them don't rely on the output given by the AI. So, what's your take and how do you see this?
Okay, so first of all, that's $1 million question. So the problem, like the Stack Overflow survey, which you are referring. So basically, the survey says that 84% of the developers use AI, but nearly half of them don't actually trust. The reason why they are not trusting the AI because the code which is AI generating it seems that it's quite right, but in actual it's not right. So that is the main reason why the dev community don't blindly trust on AI.
So, there are two different type of, you can say, tools that developers are using. One of them is autocomplete and the other are supervised agent. So, for our audience, can you tell me the basic difference between them?
Sure. Okay, so the AI revolution, if we see like past 2 years back, so the AI generation, the revolution, like the LLM part. So basically it starts from like the auto completion. What auto completion is? So you can consider it as a parrot which is like sitting on your shoulder. So whatever sentence you are trying to say, so its capability is to complete it. So the same thing is the auto completion part. If you remember in earlier days when GitHub Copilot launches its first generation part model. So basically how developers were using it, let's say they were writing a function. So they just declared the function name and signature, and the auto completion by default suggested, okay, so these are the few next lines of code. So basically they predict the upcoming next lines of code. Okay. So this is the auto completion part which you can consider it as a first generation of AI. But the current AI which we are seeing nowadays has been transformed from the simple auto completion to a supervised agent. What a supervised agent is, you can consider a supervised agent as a junior resource working under you. When you allocate some junior over a project, so he or she has knowledge for that certain projects. So the problem or the limitation with autocomplete is it has access to only the next few lines, but it doesn't have access to the entire code base or the entire project or the knowledge of the entire project. So you can see that supervised agents are more capable. Why? Because they have a huge knowledge in terms of the access to the whole projects or whole code base. So in this manner you can directly assign tasks to it, that hey, okay, so go to that particular file, identify XYZ function in it, and then just perform these modifications in that function. So it will be capable enough to directly perform them. just like you give this task to a junior or to your associate.
Okay, so like if I am giving a prompt to a auto supervised agent, if I'm giving a prompt to a supervised agent, and so what will it look like? As I have not worked till yet on a supervised agent, so what does it feel like, and how does I interact with the supervised agent, and what are the tools right now which developers are using in the industry?
Okay, so basically, you are asking that how are we going to give input to these supervised agents?
How are you going to use the supervised agent,
Okay.
and what does it look like, and what does it feel like?
Sure. So basically, like if we move or step back to like 2 years back, so there were IDs like VS Code and etc. IDs. So those IDs doesn't have the AI capability or the supervised agents capability built into them. They are like when the first generation of AI comes, so how they adopt them using, you can say, a simple tool which is responsible for the auto completion part only. But those IDs weren't designed in such a way that they'll be able to handle the supervised agent capabilities. So nowadays, the AI tools, or you can call the AI IDs, which are having the capabilities of supervised agents. Few of them were like Cursor, Raplet, Lovable. These are the very famous AI tools or AI IDs which you can call. So these IDs are built in such a manner that they'll be having the capabilities built into them, so which are responsible for like the whole agentic task.
Okay.
So assuming that these are the modern or the new IDEs which the developer community is using the mostly. As far as the input part is considered, so like earlier the developers used to write code by themselves. So now these IDs have a built-in chat interface available. So you can simply open it, you can directly give instructions in that chat. So there is a very famous term which is nowadays popular. It is known as CHOP, CHOP, which refers to the chat oriented programming. So this is a new, you can say, shift in this industry or the coding industry. So traditionally developers used to do the coding by themselves, and now it has been transformed into the chat oriented programming. Like they don't directly start writing the code. They first interact with the chat interface.
It's like talking to a teammate or a junior, something like that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
giving instructions and curating if there are any mistakes in the code. Okay.
Yeah, you can consider the chat interface as the input layer.
Okay.
For now, maybe in future it would be having voice capabilities. Maybe in future we don't be seeing the chat interface. We can directly open our IDs, and by default it will be listening to us, and we can directly start giving instructions like we used to give to our junior tabs or associates.
So my next question is, have you ever used any supervised agent in your professional career, and if yes, so any project would you like to share with us?
Sure. Okay, so the tools which I have mentioned, like Cursor, Lovable, Rapid. So basically, these are the tools which we are internally using for past few months as a testing purpose.
Okay.
So we have different teams, and to each teams we have assigned different IDs as a testing purpose for now. So there is a very good case study which I would like to quote here, is particularly for the Cursor ID.
Okay.
So basically there is an app which there's an app which we are building. It is the app domain is, you can consider it as a social media app, not a traditional social media app like we have Facebook, Instagram. So that app is specifically designed for different communities. Let's say I'm a photographer, so I want to connect my nearby photographers, and not only connect them. Let's say I have different events, so I want to create an event in which I want different photographers to contribute with me. So I can use this platform to like create a job or to open a post, to open a vacancy, and whoever is connected with me using its community feature, they can simply apply over it. So basically, the point why I'm referring these features is because making this kind of app takes months, maybe 6 to 8 months.
Exactly.
So we use Cursor while developing this app. So we were surprised that it reduces like 40 to 50% of the development time.
Nice.
So that's a very big impressive thing while using these supervised agents or IDs.
So when you completed your project in say less than half of your expected or traditional way of building software or app, so what was the client's reaction to that?
Okay, so basically this app is still under the development phase.
Okay.
It's not live yet. It's almost towards its release. So this is something which we haven't shared it with the client.
Okay.
Because this is not like this is an internal process, like what ID we are using, and how our development team is working, what SOPs Kode Lab has. So this is something to do internally. This doesn't directly refers to the client.
Okay, so what you have committed to the client, the time period, maybe it was I don't know what was the time period, so maybe it will be around 1 year or one and a half year. So what were the hurdles that you faced, or what are the challenges, because it's it's relatively new way to create an app or a software using supervised agent. So what were the challenges that your team faced using this Cursor app, the supervised agent, while developing the social media app that you were referring to?
Okay, so basically this app has a quite complex design, or you can say modern design in terms of totally liquid glass UI components being used. So building such kind of components using Cursor at that time was quite challenging for us. So this is the one hurdle which we face while replicating the exact UI. And the second part is also there are a few components which have some like logically complex components. So basically, while developing those components, we cannot just open the Cursor ID and say, hey, I want to build this certain component. And definitely Cursor or any AI IDs or any supervised agents wouldn't be able to replicate it. Why? Because we haven't provided the enough or sufficient context. So what we learned from this is you cannot directly open the chat and can give a high level instruction that hey, go and start making this and that. So we discovered a new technique. Basically what the new technique is, first you open the chat, you start talking to the AI agent. You say that hey, I want to build this certain component. If you have certain questions, so you can ask me. So now what the AI will do is AI will ask you, okay, first answer me these questions in order to better understand or clarify the task. It is, you can imagine this process the same like you are assigning a task to your junior. So junior, if the junior have some task in clarity, so he would ask those questions from you. Okay, Yusuf, first tell me something about this, blah blah blah. So this is the requirement gathering part. So first we use the chat interface for the requirement gathering part, so the AI would know our expectations. Once this has been completed, so we ask AI to generate a sequential or an execution step for us. So now the AI is acting as some lead engineer, which is breaking those that particular task into executable instructions. Executable instructions in a manner that first you have to do the A part. Once the A part or component is completed, then you would move to the B part, then following the next components. So once the AI has given the execution steps, so now as a lead or as a someone who is responsible, I'll go through those execution steps, and once I find those execution steps satisfactory enough, then only I'll ask the agent, okay, now the execution steps looks good to me, start generating its code for me. If I have certain concerns, so I'll ask it's simply in chat that, hey, I don't like this particular step in the execution step, why you have put this step in execution. So yeah, this is a technique which we have discovered. So while using the technique, we get our complex components built very easily as per our desired expectations.
So the hurdles which you might face in the past using autocomplete, they were pretty much resolved using the supervised agent. Okay. So just for my knowledge, I would like to know when developers used to code or use autocomplete for in the coding, when they try to run the code or run the code on the IDE or the other platforms, they face a lot of bugs. Were there any issues relatable to that?
So see, as per my perspective, this I'm not trying to say that AI doesn't makes mistakes. What point I'm trying to say is that the AI is same. Let's say there are two developers. One developer, whatever code he is generating from the AI, let's say AI is giving 80% of the errors, whereas we have a developer B who is also using the same AI, but AI is not giving too much errors to him. Like, let's say 80% of the times AI gives his desired output. How? So basically the problem lies with how the resources or how the developers are interacting with the AI.
That's the human element, but what I was trying to ask is, I'm trying to compare the both versions, autocomplete versus supervised agents. So were there you can say, if you have one application code from the autocomplete, you get, for example, say 100 bugs or 100 errors. So were there any positive outcome using supervised agents, and how was that?
Okay, so if we do the comparison of both the versions, like both the AI generations, like the auto completion with the supervised agents, which is the current era. So yeah, there have been tremendous enhancements in the AI. So in earlier days, why we were facing too many errors in auto completion, because due to its limited context window, it only has access to, let's say, that particular file, or even to, let's say, 40 to 50 lines of code. But in the supervised agent, we have access to the whole code base. So as the knowledge base or the knowledge window has been increased, so it reduces the error chances.
So makes sense. Can supervised agents handle the messy or a large amount of code
Okay.
at the same time at one go and one problem.
Okay, so that's a very like thoughtful question. So before considering this question or this level of difficulty task to an AI or supervised agent, first let's see that how a human would interact with this problem. So let's say we have a huge code base which has a file which has let's say more than 3,000 lines of code, which is this practice doesn't consider a good practice in our like software industry. So let's say I have a junior. I say, hey, you need to switch to this project. He said, okay, fine. He said, okay, could you please define the task for me? So I say, there is a file which has more than 3,000 lines of code. So you have to look through the whole file. You have to work on its optimization part. And if there are any errors, so you have to fix those errors as well. So now, as a human, I would definitely be confused. Why? Because that file which has 3,000 lines of code, so let's say that the code has been maintaining for 2 to 3 years, and that file is being coded by 10 different developers. So a human would also definitely get confused.
Yeah.
So if we try to give similar problem to the AI or the AI agents, so we haven't actually specified that what the problem is. If I say the code or the file has an optimization problem, so I haven't specifically defined the problem. So the problem with the current AI is whenever you give certain instructions to it, so it consider it as the whole input or the whole knowledge, and it directly jumps into solving the problem. It doesn't consider that if you have given the enough information or not. It tries to generates the best output based on your available input. So if we give this kind of problem to the AI agents nowadays, so the good way would be not to just directly say that jump into the file and start doing the coding and start doing the enhancements or improvements. The better way would be to ask the agent, okay, first analyze the whole file and let me know once you are done. It will analyze the whole file. Then I'll ask it, okay, could you see this particular function? It would say, yeah, I'm seeing this function. Then I'll ask it, only optimize this certain functions. Check if this function has any error validation issues. So it would check, and then and then I'll ask it to prepare an execution plan, and then I'll review it, and then I'll ask it to execute it. Once it will perform the changes, so it would not affect the whole 3,000 lines of code. It would only affect that certain functionality or that certain functions.
Okay. That's pretty, supervised agent. You can say it's a walking steps, or it's just a beginning for the supervised agents. So, where do you see the AI agents, or sorry, you can say supervised agents or the IDEs in the future?
Okay, so the future of AI based IDs, or maybe I don't know, maybe IDs would be eliminated, I'm not sure, but currently there is a singular supervised agent in every ID. But in future, what I can imagine is there would be multiple agents. Let's say that if you are building a project from scratch, let's say an e-commerce site. So a client came to us and say that, hey, I want to build an MVP for the e-commerce site. So first of all, there requires a process in which the BA would come. The BA would perform the requirement gathering part. So this is the entity one, you can say. Then comes the project manager. When the requirements are being finalized, then project managers make tasks and assign those tasks to the dev teams, and then dev teams do their work or perform their work. Once the application is being built by the dev team, they rotate it to the QA team, and the QA team would be assuring the quality. And once it's been done, then the application is made live. You see, there are 4 to 5 different entities
Yes.
which are being involved into this process. So in the future, what I'm imagining right now is there would be different agents introduced maybe into the ITs or to some other
Doing all the tasks
yeah.
for different 4 to 5 entities.
Yes, in which each agent would be responsible for its task or its JT. So yeah,
Like the one of them will be doing like the performing the task of the BA, and the other one will be performing the task of the PM, then the dev team, and
yeah. In future, in order to simplify, what you can see that a project, maybe a project execution doesn't require these much entities. Maybe a singular person who would be sitting and who would be in
Looking
charge.
after.
Yeah, he would be looking after what these agents are doing,
Yeah.
and he would be just responsible for
the quality
the,
and the output.
the outputs, as you can say, a final accountability step or as a validation steps, that whatever quality or like the task which AI is been performing.
So it comes to 2 different aspects. One of them is surely the AI will replace 90% of the workforce, and the other one is it will be very fast and very quick for any industry to work. For example, the example that you have given, that for a 1 year project we have completed that project in 2 or 3 months. So it will surely make our work fast and easy, and it will also replace, or you can say cut down the workforce by 90 or 80%. Just you mentioned that only 1% will be looking after the output of the AI.
Okay, so in order to simplify, what I can personally mention it is that AI here is not to replace anyone. It is here to amplify our work. Let's say that in earlier days there used to be a task which I used to complete, which I used to take, let's say, a whole complete day for that task. So now, while using the AI, if I am reducing, let's say, 40% or 50% of its development time, so now see it as that I have this room available for new opportunities to explore. So yeah.
So you can either you can say reduce the number of people, or you can enhance your business, enhance your projects, because you have the room available for doing multiple projects, multiple tasks. Yeah, that's nice. So it was very nice meeting you, and it was a very good conversation. The way you explained the AI agents, supervised agents, and the autocomplete, which we were using in the past. So it was really nice meeting you, and let's hope that we'll see you again for another podcast in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yousuf, for having me here. And I love to be again invited to this podcast.
Likewise. Thank you so much. If you like our podcast, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channels given on the screen. At Kode Pakistan, we keep it real, learning, building, and sharing what's next in the technology. Thank you.